So if you clicked on this video and maybe you feel a little overworked, a little underpaid, you may even feel, I don't know, a little underappreciated because perhaps you're working with too many buyers, chasing them around nights and weekends, then this video is really going to help you. We're going to break down a live listing agent workshop that I just did with an agent that I'm coaching, and you're going to learn exactly what to do to go out there and scale a listing agent business. You're going to learn literally word for word how to set high quality listing appointments with the best sellers and how to win those listings, even if you are going up against agents that have a lot more experience than you do. You're going to get all of that in this video. And as you're watching this video, if you're serious about your goals and you're serious about scaling your income and you want to become a listing agent and you're open to a coaching relationship like the one that I have with the agent that you're about to see, I'm going to put a link in the description. You can feel free to pick a day and time to have a conversation. We can talk about whether or not it makes sense to work together. And then you can decide if hiring me right now as your coach makes any sense or not. So if not, no big deal. My goal with videos like this is to help you with this free content so that you can scale your income. So let's jump into it. You've been in the business for quite some time. Certainly you have done it. You've tried different things, which I just want to spend a minute on just to give some people some context. And then I want to start talking about what you're doing today. But like in the past 6 years, what have you tried that maybe a lot of agents would chase as some sexy, shiny object that maybe it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be? Have you had any of those where you're like, I chased this thing because I heard other people talking about it and it just didn't pan out?
Yeah, I mean, definitely open houses, social media, it works, but it's not as much like, glitz and glamour as everyone makes it out to be. I never did any, pay for leads. I kind of just heard how, I guess, difficult, how long that takes in the process. With that said, I think you even say this. I mean, all the things I just mentioned, they all work. You have to stick to them and you have to do them consistently. And, whether it's social media, open houses, I mean, every day for minimum 6 months, 12 months. And before you can say they don't work, right?
Yeah.
Those for me just weren't, I guess, I chased those and I wasn't consistent. I thought that they would produce, business right away and learn pretty quickly. It takes consistency and a long time.
Yeah, fair enough. And I agree. So what are you doing now that you're finding more success with when it comes specifically to lead generation?
Yeah. Yep. So after the first 4 years of doing part-time and honestly just sitting back, doing a little bit of social media, staying in touch with friends and family, making it known that like, hey, I'm in real estate, that worked. And I was getting 5, 6, 7 deals a year on the side part-time. Thankfully, looking back, I got laid off and I've been following your stuff for a long time. I actually even purchased your course like 3 years before that, the FSBO domination. I was lazy and also kind of tough with the corporate job, never got around to doing it. And when I got laid off, I just believed in everything I saw from you. And I'm like, hey, like, I think this is it. I talked with my wife and I'm like, I think this is my time to go full time. And, just jumped into it, called up Ben, gave him my credit card, joined your course. And from day one, it was like, hey, if I'm going to pay this guy this amount of money and do his course, like I'm going to do everything to a T. So I right away started with everything that this course teaches and got right into prospecting, got the dialer, got the leads, and just started calling. And I think you were always saying, and I think you still say 0 to 90 days, if you put in the work, you'll see the results. And for me, like school and just learning, it's always been kind of tough. So I was like, oh, man, if he says 0 to 90 days, probably like 0 to 180 for me. But sure enough, on day 62, signed my first listing, calling cancels and expireds. He was a canceled, signed my first listing on day 62.
Crazy. What I ask people to do that go through the coaching program is not easy. Actually, it's very, very difficult. It's very difficult work. It is the path that most people do not want to go down. They want to chase the easy button as much as possible. I am curious for you, What was it that said, I'm going to surrender to the fact that I know that I've got to do the hard work of learning how to communicate, learning my sales skills, learning some discipline and some focus, and build this through direct outbound prospecting versus all the other options out there?
Yeah, I think it was just, I mean, I grew up playing sports and really competitive and all that stuff. And I knew the idea of hard work. I knew that nothing came easy. So like that was instilled for me at, a very young age. But then also 4 years of just listening to you, watching you on YouTube, and like I feel like drilling into my brain that like, hey, like there's no easy way. You just got to do the work. And I think, yeah, seeing whether it's these get rich quick schemes or cutting corners, it's like that stuff never works. So I just believed what you said right off the bat, but kind of what I've been instilled with from a very young age, I guess, with hard work.
Good for you. Good for you. I mean, I don't want to get off on a tangent, but it's amazing how many people get into this industry and want to make a lot of money, but they don't want to work hard. It's like one of the only industries where people can rationalize making a lot of money without having to put forth the work. And to your point, I think what you've learned over 6 years is that is just a fallacy. That's fantasy land. It does not exist in this industry. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that really I just keep thinking about it is you talk about whether it's doctors or lawyers making the amount of money that they make, but how much time and money did they invest into it? And for doctors, lawyers, what easily 7 years, sometimes more. And so how can we expect to year one, even year two or year three, make that type of money right off the bat? It's like, so for me, I'm like, hey, I'm going to keep investing money in this. I'm going to keep putting the work in, almost like it's a 5, 6, 7 year plan, just like a doctor or a lawyer to, kind of understand that's what it takes to be at that level.
It's a great point. It's a great point. Yeah, we're one of the only industries where it's like we don't feel like we need to pay the price in order to make $500,000. But if you
Yeah.
look at people that make 3, 4, $500,000 a year and the price they had to pay, it's like, well, what makes you so special? So anyway, thank you for bringing that up. So let's get into the weeds of things. So the method that you've chosen to build your business, it's one pillar. Direct outbound prospecting is one pillar. Certainly, you're still going to work your sphere of influence. Certainly, you're still doing other things. But when it comes to your direct outbound prospecting, what lead sources are you focused on right now? Is it just bottom of funnel, FISBOs and expires? Are you diversifying with anything else? What does that look like?
Yeah, that's a good question. And people can learn from my mistake is that, I mean, even in the beginning when you taught, I was going through your course in the very beginning, is like you kind of talk about being diverse, top, middle, and bottom of funnel. And for me, I was like, well, I got to start with one, get good at that, and then pick up another one. The cancels and expired. So I was just doing bottom of funnel, just canceled, just expired. That was going really well. Felt like I was killing it. I got a handful of deals my first year from that.
Sure.
And I made the mistake of just sticking with that. And the market, I even asked you a question about this. The market kind of shifted recently in the last year. And so I'm like, man, wishing I would have been more diverse from the beginning, having more
Mm.
middle and top of funnel. So cancels and expires were my bread and butter, but still now trying to do all three. I'm trying to do cancels and expireds first thing in the morning. Then I'll go to old cancels, expireds. Then you suggested I do tired landlords, that middle funnel from batch leads. And then the last one is downsizers, getting that from batch leads as well. So I'm really trying to diversify with those as far as the prospecting goes.
That's great. That makes a ton of sense. And how much time do you spend every day prospecting?
I shoot for a minimum of 3 hours,
Got it.
8 to 11. It's tough to sit here the whole time. I'm still trying to be able to work up my stamina to do that. I might go take a walk for 10 minutes, get some sun, get some exercise, and then get back. But minimum 3 hours. I got a clock minimum of three.
Cool. Now, I mean, one of the most difficult things that that come up every day, right, in these coaching calls is consistency. Consistency. Every Tuesday we've got people just like yourself that come onto the show and talk about the key to their success is consistency. Nobody's perfect. But what is it for you? Has there been anything that's helped you stay consistent? Whether that be, doing sprints that I talk about, right? Where you do these short 30-minute blasts of prospecting followed by, a walk around the block. Is it an accountability partner? Is it, a timer? Is there any type of productivity things that you're doing, Ryan, that helps you do this mundane, boring, very difficult work every day?
Yeah, I think definitely. I mean, I wake up at 4:30, and if my wife was watching this, she'd be like, "You're a liar." Be honest with these people. Like, you don't wake up at 4:30 every day. It's tough, but I try to wake up every day, hit the gym first, get exercise in, and then couple things. I like getting whether it's 50 minutes or an hour, and then set a timer and go get 5-10 minutes of a walk and some sunlight and then get back and do the same thing again. So kind of like hour chunks with 5-10 minute breaks in between. The other thing I like to do is I have my calendar up here with the red Sharpie and the X marks, and there's just something mentally about that that's like, oh, if I don't hit my numbers today, if I don't put in my 3 hours, it's just going to kill me. Like I don't want to miss a day of putting up my 3 hours minimum.
Isn't that crazy how powerful that is? Like
Yeah.
just a simple thing of grabbing a calendar for the audience sake, grabbing the old school big calendar. You've got yours on the wall. I don't know. Can you show it to us? Is your camera turn or no?
Yeah. Let's see. I'll turn it here. Up
Yeah,
there.
exactly right. So an old school real calendar, and there's something about going up there with that red Sharpie and crossing it off that it gives you such a sense of accomplishment that once you string along so many days, it's actually more painful not to prospect. It's more painful not to put the X than it is to actually just do the work, which is great. And I also agree that getting up and doing the most difficult things in the morning, like waking up early and going to the gym, makes the rest of the day seem easy in comparison. And so you're winning the morning. What we've always said is if you win the morning, you can win the day. So you're getting up early, you're winning what we call the battle of the bed, the battle of the mind. You're going to the gym, working on your mindset, your health set, your physicality, and then you're prospecting for 3 hours. And so between the hours of 4:35 in the morning till 11 a.m., you've already done more than 90% of the industry does. Now, with inside of that 3 hours, how many people are you typically talking to on average?
Yeah, I was only doing so when I was just doing cancels and expireds, which have the lowest pickup rate. I mean, I was getting only 12, 15 within that 3 hours. And then a couple of things I changed and highly recommend. So obviously being more diverse and calling middle and top of funnel. And then I got the triple line dialer, the Mojo triple line, and the pickup rate is just way better. So within that 3 hours, I might get anywhere from 20 to 30 sometimes.
That's awesome. So can we talk about those calls for a second?
Yep.
I want people to get some good practical takeaways. Let's just talk about these different lead sources, and what you've learned to navigate these conversations. It's one thing to pick up the phone, make the calls, do the work. But if you don't have a skill set, it's kind of like you're spinning your wheels. It's like you're on that cold calling hamster wheel. So let's talk about the expired conversation. Probably the most difficult for most people. Would you agree? It's probably the most difficult conversation to master. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think so because they're as we all know they're getting hammered
They're
with
getting
calls.
hammered. Lots of competition. They're frustrated. You're dealing with a lot of resistance. Can you share, Ryan, with maybe, I don't know, one or two different techniques that you've learned to help generate better conversations with these people?
Yeah, honestly, just the pattern interrupt, and I think the more you can like have a little bit of a laugh with it, have a little bit fun with it, and kind of like what you say, like pulling, the pin on the grenade, like saying what they already know. One of my favorites is I guess we'll run it real quick. Ring ring.
Sure. Hello?
Brandon?
Yeah, this is him. Who's this?
Brandon, hey, my name's Ryan. Listen, you're gonna hate me. I'm a realtor. Before you go, I was just hoping to ask you a quick question. Would that be okay?
It's so good. It's so good. And so what you found is that when you do that, you've kind of Well, what happens? You tell us. You tell the audience what happens.
I mean, half the time they laugh. Or another one I like to use is, listen, hey, do you just want to hang up on me, or will you give me 30 seconds, right? And half the time they laugh, and it just, at the very least, gives you that next 30 seconds to stay in the game, stay on the call. And one of them specifically, one of my listings right now, he, after our call, I set the appointment, ended up getting the listing later. But after that initial call, he even sent me a text. I think I shared it in the group actually when it happened. And he was like, hey, thanks for your call. The reason I took your call and continued talking with you is because you were the only one that was respectful and upfront, and asked for permission to ask me a question. He's like, everyone else didn't do that. So it just goes to show that, like, this philosophy, or this way we do things really works, and it's different from everyone else.
I mean, that's spot on. I mean, I hope everyone got that. I mean, you're talking about psychology, and that we're just talking to people. So if we know how to communicate with people, then good things will happen. But if you try to use high pressure sales techniques with people, they don't work. It pisses people off. It rubs them the wrong way. And so what you've learned to do is just science. You've learned how to communicate with people in a way that lowers their resistance. And you're getting prospects that are telling every one of your competitors to kick rocks. Thank you for calling. Just imagine that for people in the live audience. You have an expired listing who says, thank you for calling. It's unheard of. Now, when it comes to the language around appointment setting, so the pattern interrupt, great takeaway. You gave us some really good examples. When you get through the conversation and you go to set the appointment, where's the turning point? How do you turn this conversation with somebody you've never talked to before? You don't know them, they don't know you. How do you get them to invite you to come over to their home?
Yeah, I mean, I think two things. I think it's the buildup to asking for the appointment, or recommending it, right? If I'm building good rapport, doing exactly what that guy said in his text, like being respectful, just being a person, being curious, asking, and yeah, not being salesy, not being pushy. In fact, doing the opposite, like pushing them away a little bit. It's like, it doesn't come off as salesy or commission breath, as we say. And then I think the biggest thing is when you ask or go for the appointment, is throwing in kind of their motivation, their situation, throwing that in a little bit within asking for the appointment, is really makes, I feel like, hits home for them.
Can you share with us? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
Yeah.
can you share with us if my goal, let's just say, was to, I live in Detroit. Let's just say the goal was to get down to Tampa, because I'm doing a job transfer. So that's the motivation. Can you share with us maybe what that language would sound like, so that people in the audience can say, okay, that makes actually a lot of sense, why you're able to set appointments?
Yeah. Yeah, Brandon, I appreciate the info. I mean, can I make a recommendation?
Yeah, sure, that's fine.
And listen, I mean, it's totally up to you, but if you'd like, I'd be happy to swing by one day this week. And when I'm there, I can do two things. One, hopefully pinpoint what went wrong the first go around. And two, share with you what's been working really well for our clients to actually get their home sold, get them down to Tampa, their new destination with their new job. And then you can decide if hiring me for the job and actually getting this thing sold makes sense or not. I mean, is that something you'd be opposed to?
No, that sounds
And
good.
because, let's face it, I mean, you wouldn't even consider hiring me unless you were 100% confident you had the right guy, right?
That's really, really well done. I mean, I just put you on the spot on a live webinar to be able to nail that. I mean, it comes across so genuine. I mean, I'm curious, will you guys in the live audience use the chat? I mean, what did you think? I mean, that's the difference between, I mean, you didn't come into the business being able to do that, right? Like, what has it been for you to be a master of your craft? Or do you practice this thing ever, or are you just gifted?
Oh man, like I said, I'm trying to stop saying this because I don't want to keep this as my identity. But in the past, like, learning for me was tough. Like I said, for me, it was like, you said 0 to 90 days. I was thinking, man, probably 0 to 180 for me. Like, and to give everyone a little perspective here, like, I'm not ashamed to say, like, I actually got, when I was in college, I got tested for a learning disability so that I could get more time on test. I could get people to take notes for me. School was always tough for me. Like I got through it. And so, yeah, like memorizing these scripts, literally 7, 8 at night at my office, walking around in the parking lot, holding the paper, like memorizing this thing, listening to it, recording. I put in tons of hours to get this thing memorized. And then, yeah, now a role play partner. Every morning, 7 a.m., I'm in the car driving to my office, role playing with him. And then the other thing is, I do find that when I don't show up to class, I don't think I'm at the level yet where I can just stop going to class and I got this all down. Like I find that when I don't go to class and I'm not around that lingo and practicing and even just hearing other people, hearing Dom, hearing you, I'm like, I feel like my skills are slipping a little bit, you know? So for me, it's like showing up to class every day and participating and listening and what, along with practicing the scripts.
Yeah, and you mean just coming to coaching calls, hearing the
Coming to coaching
language,
calls, yeah.
practice. I'm the same way. What you just said is so funny. Not one person has ever said what you've said on one of these shows before. But if you're away from it too long, you start to lose it a little bit. That's why I still role play. They're
Yep.
my scripts. It's my methodology, 21 years in the making. And if I don't continue to practice them, I lose it. I mean, the reality is some of you guys are better than me at it, because of your the amount of time you're doing it every day. So that's super cool. What about the more top of funnel conversations? So a lot of people talk about, let's just talk about downsizers for an example. Are you using the same pattern interrupt? And if you do, which, is fine. How do you get into a conversation around motivation with somebody who is not a hand raiser, like an expired, like a for sale by owner, like a canceled, where you already know the need is there for them to want to sell? How are you getting into that conversation?
Yeah, well, for the pattern interrupt, I've only been doing it for a month now, and I really just like using the calling out of the blue. It's like, hey, Brandon, listen, hey, I know I'm my name's Ryan. I'm a realtor. I know I'm calling out of the blue, but I was just hoping to ask you a quick question about your neighborhood. I just say about your neighborhood, and it's like it's not about their house, not selling their house. I feel like that kind of lowers the guard, and that always gets me through to the next question. And then kind of like the script says is, hey, you're going to think this is crazy, but there's a lot of buyers interested in getting a house in your neighborhood. And I just didn't know if you thought or knew of anyone that was looking to sell right now. 99% of the time, they're going to say no. And then the next line, right, jumping into, well, and listen, I mean, if I asked you if you were ever thinking about selling, I mean, you'd probably just laugh at me and say, there's just no way you're never selling. This is your forever home, right?
So good.
Yeah.
And and so you're gently pushing them away. Essentially, you're feeding the objection to the prospect that normally the prospect is giving to realtors that do circle prospecting. You're the one giving the objection first. I don't know if you ever thought about it that way, and you allow the prospect to deal with the objection. Is that right?
Yep, absolutely.
And then the ones you're looking for the people who argue and say, well, matter of fact, no, you're wrong. We have been thinking about moving, and then you're into a nice conversation. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, and it's usually as simple as like, well, not right now, but maybe in next year or in a couple of years, we were thinking about doing this, and that, and then I'll just keep going and learning about that to see if there's really something there or not.
It's great. It's great. As far as the pattern interrupt goes, what percentage, if you had to guess, of the time when you call any prospect, are you able to get past that critical first 10 seconds and get into the first question of the script?
With top of funnel with downsizers, it's got to be like 98%. I mean, almost 100%.
Wow.
See much easier with those ones as long as you say it and do it right. But with cancels and expireds, I don't know what the average is where I'm at with that, but probably like 80%. I mean, there's a good 20% that just won't even hear you out, even if you do the opener correctly.
Phenomenal. It's phenomenal because without using that type of permission-based opener, just so you know, for context, it's about a 22% success rate.
Mm.
So the fact that you're getting through 80% is great. Okay, let's move off of prospecting. You gave a lot of good nuggets on that. Let's talk about the importance of maybe what you're still learning, which is lead follow-up. and how important that is to a salesperson's business. What role has that played in your business, and what is the importance?
Oh, I mean, it's huge, right? I think I can't remember your stats, but the likelihood of getting someone a deal on the first call is what is it like 97 or 3%?
That's right.
Okay. And so yeah, obviously it's really in the follow-up. And with everything that you teach, again, I was from the very beginning, I'm like, I'm paying this amount for this course. This guy says to do all this stuff. Like I'm going to follow it to a T. Got my postcards made. I'm not techie or design oriented at all, so I just paid. I can't remember the girl that.
Caitlin.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are hung up, if anyone's hung up on getting that stuff made and done, just pay her. It's so worth it. Don't even have to deal with it.
Yeah.
But literally, just do all that stuff and call it to now. I mean, I have people that I call and a lot of people have pushed out their date for whatever reason, but I call and they answer the phone like, "Oh, hey Ryan," like they know who I am. I've built a relationship with people. It's just now a matter of time. And one that's really cool is I hit this canceled canceled or expired the first day. Got through to him, got him set up on follow up. I called him probably 2 weeks later, just with an update. 'Cause I think he said he was 30 days out. Called him
Mm.
2 weeks later. He answered. It was a little bit of a quick call. Just gave him a quick neighborhood update, asked where he was. I think he had to rush off the phone. On probably at the 5 week mark, he emailed me and he says, Ryan, wow, all the follow up on a cold lead and sending me a box of delicious brownies. I'm extremely impressed. And then boom, we start talking from there. Sold his house in December. So it's like
Incredible.
it's crazy.
So for context, because people don't know, they don't know what you know. When you say all that stuff, you're talking about you're doing phone calls, you're doing a
Yep.
direct mail piece. So you're putting them on a direct mail campaign, which includes some type of offer of reciprocity. In this case, you're doing brownies.
Yep.
You're doing a weekly email?
So that is the one thing I'm missing. I will
Okay.
admit. I do HomeBot instead, and I
Yep.
do well, not instead. I'm gonna add it, but for now I'm doing just HomeBot. That's like an email every other week, and then I am at least doing setting them up on an MLS neighborhood update. As you know, most people don't opt into it, so the majority of people aren't seeing it, but I set myself up on it as well. That way, when I call them or I can text them whenever I'm communicating with them, I have that info to maybe share with them any updates or value.
Which I think is the most vital part of lead follow up. So if anybody missed what he just said, the takeaway, if you're taking notes and you're actually paying attention, is anytime you generate a lead is to put them on a MLS active pending sold search in a alert status so that anytime something happens in their neighborhood, you've got something that's tangible to reference when you're following up and you're not just the check-in guy or the check-in girl. It's like, hey, no, Bob, I want to call you because I'm not sure if you saw a home on Bird Street just hit the market. It's really, really similar to yours. Did you have a chance to check that out? And now you can reference something. And so that's a really good point. All right. So now let's move to the presentation. My opinion is that this is the most vital skill for a realtor, more so than anything else. It is the most important part. Their ability to sit belly to belly, eye to eye across the table from somebody and communicate their value such that person feels compelled to sign a legal contract to hire that person as a fiduciary, to me is the most important part of a realtor's business. Has that been true for you? And if so, what are some parts of your presentation that you feel has been the biggest impact in taking listings?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I feel like the most important part because it's not, to me, at least where I'm at, it's not hard to get in the door. It's especially when you're dealing with a lot of competition, cancels and expireds. I mean, they're sometimes interviewing three, four, five agents, and that can be a little discouraging. But also, I mean, sometimes you're going up against people that have been doing it for, I hear that some of they're interviewing top agents in my market. So that's definitely tough. So yes, it's extremely important. You got to bring your A game, be really good at that. As far as the things that I think really help me stand out, it's it's really just I like to just overload them with data and talking about, days on market, any of those other data points,
The
talking about
pricing presentation specifically.
pricing. Yeah, pricing presentation specifically, because it's like when you can go in there and you can confidently speak to all this data. I mean, a lot of these people aren't even thinking if they haven't sold many houses or they're not really financially, economically, I guess, sound, if you will.
Mhm.
They don't even think to, oh, I didn't think to look at all these data points. Like this guy's a genius speaking on all these different data points. I personally, and that's probably because um, I'm more black and white. I'm more of a driver. I think a D and I. So
Yeah.
those are huge to me. But I do notice it seems like those really stand out. People like, oh, this guy knows his stuff. He knows his numbers, you know?
Well, and what you're referring to for the audience sake are the things that actually matter when it comes to selling real estate. Unlike what our competition does, which is they go and visit people for an hour, Ryan, and talk about, well, I'm going to put it on Instagram and I'm going to put it on TikTok and I'm going to do drone photos, and you're going in there talking about things that the seller, to your point, have never seen before. Supply and demand audit, active buyer analysis, active competitive analysis. Like they just don't. They've never seen it before. And so it positions you as a real expert versus a commodity of things everybody's talking about. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And they have more than half the time they say that very thing when they're canceled or expired. They literally say, "Wow, I my last agent didn't show me any of this." You know.
Yep. Yep. No doubt. So last one for me, and then we'll open this up for the live audience to ask, questions, whatever you guys want of Ryan. You guys have them for like 10, 15 minutes. Um, I'm always curious to see, like, perception is so valuable. And now that you have 6 years knowing what you know now, like, what would be some things you would have done differently had you got your license right now in 2025?
I would have jumped into your course right away, and I would have also probably just would have jumped in sooner. I waited till I got laid off, and it was easy to, it's hard to leave that steady paycheck, and so I was kind of like being laid off. It pushed me into doing it. It would have been nicer to do it when I was still single and no kids. I made that decision when literally my wife we just had her decide to be a stay-at-home mom. We had one kid and we had a second kid on the way. And so it's like it was just more pressure and stress. It would have been nice to jump in earlier and get this going sooner before I had dependents.
Yeah.
But no, I think really just understanding what you're getting into and that it's sales and you can't just sit back and start hitting the phones right away.
It's great. And I totally agree with you. I've been talking about it a lot more lately, that when somebody has a plan B, um, the brain is not able to go all in. You're not able to play all out because you have a safety net. And so you're never able to reach your fullest potential. Whereas if you burn the boats and you have no safety net, it puts you in a position where you have to succeed. Now, your wife and family are dependent, to your point, on you making your calls every day. Because if you have the paycheck coming in on Friday, it's like, oh, I can miss it today. So for anybody, that is my belief, and I probably have changed my stance on this as of lately. That if you're going to make it in this business, you're either all in or you're all out. There is no in between, because that in between phase, you just don't know what you're capable of, and you're not giving yourself a real opportunity to see if it actually will work, because you're hedging. You're saying, well, I'm going to try this. As soon as someone says, I'm going to try, they've already given up. So, dude, this has been great. Thank you so much.